As war chief, I am ashamed to partner with a coward like you.
I know what you mean, Garrosh. I played Hero League too. Okay, well that's a good segue. And hey guys, I am Oldbackpac. I'm the tank player for the Gankbush squad. And today we're doing Garrosh. Garrosh is a really meta tank right now. He is a cooldown based displacement hero. That means he is only really useful when his cooldowns are up. Very similar to Stitches. When Stitches has a hook up, he's useful. When Garrosh has his combo up, useful. So, when you want to play him, you really need to worry about your cooldowns. And right there's a good example. Stitches hits his hook and almost gets a kill, whereas Garrosh misses his combo and nothing really happens. Because the displacement didn't happen. Wow, and so right now if his toss was up, the variant would have been thrown over the wall. But since he wasted his cooldown, he's pretty much lackluster. And since he's a cooldown based tank, he is pretty bad in team fights outside of his during cooldowns. For the most part, if you don't engage with your combo, you shouldn't really be engaging. It's just like Stitches. And so, Garrosh, however, is a very flexible hero in his talent choices. And we see his level 1, he went for the Unrivaled Strength, which is well, probably one of the best talents he has right now. Ah, right there. Good is a good evidence of what not to do. Never stand in minion waves. Mostly because Garrosh will prioritize his E toss to the nearest minion. So you need to stand on the sides of minions, similar to Stitches. And then if you do that, then you're going to get a free toss off. This is a bit strange because Garrosh is good on Dragonshire. He's very good at displacing heroes and throwing them close to towers. But he shouldn't be top. Top is a solo lane. Sonya's there doing her job really effectively. Wow, he just tossed Brightwing into nowhere with no assassins. Okay, that brings up another point that I want to bring up. When to toss people. Yes, you always can toss someone, but you have to do it for a reason. In this case, he tossed Brightwing because he could. There was no sort of ranged DPS there. And even now, there's no ranged DPS. He's flipping Brightwing into safety, if you see that. And so you usually should not be flipping someone unless you have a DPS with you. Otherwise, you're kind of just, well, repositioning him because you can. Like this. You actually have pushed Brightwing farther from Sonya, making Sonya's job harder. They got the kills just because Stitches has very poor damage, and Garrosh is hard to take down. But that was just bad play. That was a Q for no reason. Anyways, one thing we talk about is Garrosh's trait, and that is called Armor Up. You'll notice next to his name, there's a little armor indicator. Right now it says 30. And that indicates that he has 30 armor. And so what happens is, for every 2 points of missing life, he gets 1 armor. That means if he's at 0% life, he has 50 armor. And if he has, say, 40% life, then he has, come on math, it doesn't matter. 40% life, then he gets 20 armor. And this makes him very, very tanky at low life. And even his abilities are help him maintain this high armor. Mostly in his W. His W is called Thirst for Battle, or Thirst for the Kill. And what it works is, when you use it on a target, you heal for 10% of your missing health. That means if you're at 1% life, you're going to heal for 9.9% health. Meaning it's best used at low life. If you use it at anything above, say, 50%, you're wasting it. During this video, we've noticed that Garrosh kind of throws his Q out for wave clear, and that's not how you should be doing it. Garrosh has bad wave clear, you kind of accept it, and he shouldn't be using it. Since he's a cooldown based hero, if his Q is down, then he can't really start a fight. It tells the opposing team, please, come in, fight me, I can't displace you. And then you become useless. Like, he's really quite bad in team fights. Oh, nice flip. Stitches peeled for him, but even though it was a nice flip, you'll notice that there's no one there. Yes, Tower got some shots off, but it wasn't a kill. And therefore, he's kind of just taking damage and wasting his time. At level 4, you'll notice that Garrosh got in for the kill at level 4. It makes his W refresh when he kills a minion, very similar to Kerrigan's Q. So right here on Dragonshire, we have Garrosh, who is solo laning bottom, which is a terrible idea because very similar to ETCs and Diablos and other displacement tanks, you need to be roaming, hunting for kills. And here we have here we see the talents. Unraveled Strength was level 1 because it throws people farther, which is good on Dragonshire because the forts tend to live for a while and you can toss them over walls. At 4 we have In for the Kill, and 7 he should be selecting, in this case, probably Into the Fray. He has 3 viable talents on 7. Into the Fray, he has the Oppressor and also the Intimidation. Intimidation slowers auto attack speed, so if you're versus auto attackers, your Q will reduce auto attack speed. Great versus Artanuses, Illidan's, Zul'jins if you ever find him. The other ability, Oppressor, it makes his auto attack damage reduce spell damage. Sorry, spell power. This is very good versus melee mages. Your Alarats, your Sonias, arguably Varian, because if Varian does parry build, he gets a lot of value off his heroic strike. But in this case, since they don't have a very strong auto attacker, Vol is half auto, half spell, you probably want Unraveled Strength, because they have a Stitches, who is also a displacement tank. You can correct the bad displacement of the Stitches hook. A very powerful ability. But unfortunately, the Garrosh went for Oppressor. I guess he wanted to reduce the Stitches slam damage. Okay. But, can't go back now. Maybe he wanted to make his life easier. You'll notice that Garrosh is at low health, and he's not that low. His trait makes him deceptively tanky. So the first half of his health bar is not nearly as valuable as the last half of his health bar. So as you get lower and lower in life, you actually have more effective health. It makes him somewhat deceptive in how you should play and when you should back up. So when he was at 30 armor with basically 40% life, he was fine. He didn't have to back up. He could just tap well, and he'd be safe. Right here we see Garrosh sitting in a bush waiting for a gank. Not a bad idea, however he's in the wrong spot. Ideally, as Garrosh, you should be roaming top, in middle, and bottom. Look for a kill. His siege is pretty bad, and so he's no reason to be here. He really needs to be with his team. And so when you see this, it's kind of a waste. Oh wow. Right there, this time really demonstrates his effective tankiness, where he went down from basically 100 to 10, but that last 10 lasted forever. But it just shows to show that kind of Garrosh and Stitches have very similar playstyles, and that if you displace them, you can really burn the tank down. Great Q. That was a great Q opportunity right there. Typically, if a tank or any hero in general is in melee range of you, you can Q them, you can just toss them, or you can Q them into you. It makes it very hard to escape from Garrosh, similar to an Illidan sword, in that if they try to escape, you just Q them back in and you pull them to yourself. Right now, this kind of highlights Garrosh's weakness, in that he's not very effective in team fights. And he kind of just stood around and hit things. If you notice that. He tossed the Stitches, which is not the best target, just because Stitches has a high health pool. You really want to be tossing in the Vala or the Brightwing, who gets stuck. And here we have a 10. We can see that at level 10, Garrosh Pit Decimate. It's not a bad ability for Quick Match. It's usually the run ability in Hero League, just because you want CC. Garrosh wants hard CC after the flip. But Decimate's okay in these more skirmishing maps because it has 3 charges. You get slows and you force engages. People can't actually run away from you very easily. But when you ask yourself, do you want Decimate or do you want Taunt? It's really asking yourself, do you have very high burst damage? Can you isolate and burst the target down? If you watch some of the best players that play Garrosh, like Justin from Roll20, they get a flip and the target dies. And that's based upon your comp and how and how you're able to focus damage down. This is a Zeratul, Li Ming, and a Malfurion. It's essentially a toss into Li Ming's combo into Twilight Dream. This is screaming for a taunt ultimate. However, it's a quick match, and so, well, it's not a quick match, it's Hero League. But this is where you learn. This is where he has to learn something somehow. One thing that I like to point out is that he's bad at Siege, and he really should be backing up. He needs to be near an assassin, so his displacement will work. If you think about this positioning, he's down in the bottom holding the shrine versus Falstad. Falstad can basically poke Garrosh whenever he wants, and if he gets flipped, he just barrels right out. So he really should just leave. There's no assassins near him. He can't isolate and get a kill. He is wasting his time. He is being shown in the lane and needs to rotate to put pressure on the map and to force the opponents to, well, basically fear Garrosh. And there, using your Q to wave clear, or even his ultimate to wave clear, is generally just a bad idea. Just don't wave clear. It's not your job. You're Garrosh. You're there to displace people. Right here, be in the bush. Press R. Oh, he's dead. This goes to show that, oh, nice combo. Good job, Tower Baron. Well done. That just goes to show that when you displace a displacement tank, they get stuck. It highlights really Garrosh's weakness there, in that he has really, really poor mobility. And if he gets displaced, he just dies. It's funny, Stitches and Garrosh are very much play same roles, and whoever displaces the other one first tends to win. If Garrosh were to have flipped Stitches, Stitches would die. If Stitches hits Garrosh, then Garrosh dies. It's a very fun, back and forth counterplay. In that case, the Stitches was better. At 13, one thing that Garrosh can do to help with this sort of burst is to take, probably in my opinion, the best 13 talent that he has, is Double Down, which makes his armor double its effectiveness. And so right here we'll notice that Garrosh just flipped a Varian that has Twin Blades. Varian doesn't care where he is, he just wants to be attacking you. And so that flip really didn't accomplish anything. If he flips the Brightwing, different story. But that was essentially a wasted flip. And a cooldown tank wasting his cooldowns is not proactive. It's not helpful. So instead of wasting cooldowns, you should think, okay, who do I need to flip? How do I flip him? That should be crossing your mind. And oh, good hook. And if you're not actively trying to find those right targets, you're wasting it. It's actually somewhat worse if you flip the wrong target. It's usually made very obvious versus people like Malthael. Malthael is by far Garrosh's hardest counter. And if you flip a Malthael into your backline, he presses R and your backline dies. And so you have a lot of control, so you have a lot of responsibility to not hit the wrong target. It's okay to get Qs off and pull them in, just because it's a lower cooldown. But if you hit the wrong target, you probably will ruin your team. Right there is an opportunity to flip a target. Now his cooldowns are off. Good flip onto the Brightwing. Followed up. Decimate. Nice. Well done. That was perfect. He flipped him, and then he followed it up with Decimate to keep the Brightwing inside of the tower. That's exactly how you want to be playing him. One thing to see here is that the dragon is a vehicle, and it cannot be tossed. So you just kind of watch.
Well done.
Right there. I'm not sure why Garrosh is still trying to pull the Dragon Knight. Oh well. This. Anyways, that was a good flip by him. That was kind of weird in that he just walked up and flipped him, but the combo worked. Right now they're kind of just cleaning up. And most of the chase is going to be done by the Zeratools and the Lemons, and this is actually a good play by Garrosh and to just take the camp. Essentially, if your team is running away and they're outside of the Q range, you can't chase them. You need to know who can chase, and Garrosh is not one of them. But if you'll notice in those team fights, Garrosh isn't actually doing most of the damage. He's really just there for the initial initiate. Once the initiative in the team fight begins, once the initiative is lost and the team fight begins, his team fight is really bad. He really wants to start the fight off with a kill, then not actually do team fights. It's a very weird dynamic in that he's great at the initiate and that's about it. If he's forced to do more than that, he gets really devalued. He becomes more of a damage sponge. Right here, we have Garrosh in the front line. Toss! Nice, perfect. And on the right target too. It forces both the blink out and the gust. Opportunity for more flips. Okay, now the fight's starting to go down, it's probably not going to help. So at this point, Garrosh has not much he can do. Well, he can toss a giant, I guess. Just why not? And oh, very nice. Very nice. I agree. And so now that he's with an assassin, but the Minion has no mana, it's best for him just to back up. Yeah, this is a good time to mention his other talents. So at 13, he went for Blood Craze, which is a very rare 13 talent, and where you heal for 10% of your health after pressing W. And there we saw the stats. We see that Garrosh's damage is very low, as to be expected. And once again, the talents. Here we have at 13, they said the Blood Craze, a very rare talent and probably almost never used. It will combo with level 4, allowing him to get basically full health in a minion wave. Very good on maps like Dragonshire and Spider Queen. And at 16, he went for the other talent where the Q slows. This is a very strange talent that Garrosh really has 3 builds. He has the piano build with the body check. No one uses it. Don't worry about it. He has the Q build, which is actually very nice, which I use a lot, where you get the level 1 talent for the CDR, then you get the shields, and you also get the attack speed reduction. But at 16, the number 1 pit talent is Earthshaker, which causes the person to be stunned, and the area that he hits all to be stunned for 0.75 seconds. It's by far the best talent. The biggest problem Garrosh has, same with Stitches, that after his displacement, the target usually just walks away. And you prevent that by having a stun on the impact. It really helps enforcing, and it helps mitigating your allies' ability to react to your plays. Nice. Decimate should be dead Stitches. Nice. Q again. Lovely. And right there highlights the combo of Garrosh in that once you're in melee range, you cannot escape. Especially if you go with the CDR on Q. And that was a very good example of a good Garrosh play. He essentially turned Stitch's hook into his initiate, which is really a bad play on Stitches because he hooked someone with no one behind him. He hooked them because he could, which is, well, doesn't help. In the same way that doing a combo with Garrosh doesn't help. Right there, actually, I want to talk about this a little bit. Right there, you see Garrosh actually flipping a minion for wave clear. If you're a cooldown-based tank, you can't do this. It's very similar to ETC wasting his Q. It's painful to see because it's his main form of CC, and you always want it to be up for when you need it. And so to waste your best form of displacement on what's essentially nothing, it's painful. And you might get Garrosh here doesn't have a lot of damage. There's a 3v2. Just back up. Sonya died. Fortunately, the team traded with a variant kill. And right now, this is a dangerous champ to get, just because the enemy team is beneath him and he knows it. This also demonstrates what a tank should be doing, and that is anchoring. Anchoring is what you do when the tank stands in a bush while the team warts around you. So essentially, what that Malfurion did was anchoring. He checked the bush to allow the camper to grab the camp. That's done quite often in pro play because you need sight. You need to know you're safe to get the objective you're trying to get, whether it be a merc camp or say a nuke or anything of the sort. And Garrosh is actually great at anchoring because if he's in a bush and the team wants near him, then he can very effectively displace and kill someone. This is a good chance to see his level 20 talent and where it's Titanic Might, which is probably his worst level 20 because it tosses 2 heroes. This almost never happens. And if you're tossing 2 heroes, great, but it's just not really to be expected to happen very often. The level 20 with the damage reduction on his R is by far the better one. And right there was also a really bad initiate because Stitches dropped. Stitches was not in any fear of death, so after he did the flip, he kind of just walked out. With that team fight kind of botched, they're going to lose Dragon Knight, and hopefully they can defend. You'll notice that the team is split up. This is a great opportunity for Garrosh to get a pull. However, he's standing in a minion wave, so once again, you need to be clear of that in order to be effective. Wow. They need a better initiate. Just face checking them is not helping. Okay, so let's talk about what Garrosh needs to be doing in order to help his team win its fights. He needs to be basically in the front of the team. You'll notice that the assassins they have are Falstad and Vala, and arguably Varian because he went Twin Blades. His goal should be to pull one of them and go for a kill. If you're not doing that, it's kind of a waste. When you're defending against an objective like this that you can't actually toss, for the most part, you kind of just back up and you wait for them to come to you. You can't very effectively deal with these objectives. That, however, was very nice. But with a Garrosh with no assassins near him, he is essentially taking free damage.
Your foe has destroyed a keep. Your core is under attack.
There's the VP. This is a great setup for the Garrosh to get a Q and toss in. Do it! Oh, no! Okay. That's what Silver League Hero League is like. That and also the melee walk up and toss him. Oh, that's hilarious. This team's almost certainly over just because Dragon Knights should be on core. But, that's funny. He just walks up to Stitches, tries to toss Brightwing, and then dies. Okay, this game should be over. And thank you for the Garrosh play. So just to recap, what he could have done better. He needs to really roam the lanes, similar to ETCs and Diablos, which are also displacement tanks, and really make the enemy team be afraid of pushing out beyond the halfway point. If you do that, you can then threaten a combo and toss someone and kill him. He is very bad at laning, in such that he has bad wave clear. He really is hindered by being near minions, and he's just not very effective. So he's a roaming, ganking tank. And in order to win team fights, it has to be done with the initiate. It has to initiate with the combo. And you'll see in that the Garrosh wasn't able to accomplish these things, and so the enemy team kind of just, well, walked out of his displacement, and that was a wasted hero. And so thank you very much, everyone. I really enjoyed commentating this Garrosh video. He's one of my favorite tanks. Alright, everyone. Thank you very much, and check us out on gankbush.com.